We had no rain tonight. We had no lightning tonight, no delays, thank goodness. We weren't able to join you guys last week, but here we are for week 6.
Happy fall, y'all! Except somebody forgot to tell the weatherman that fall is not here yet. However, I keep hearing these rumors, and I'm going to call them rumors, that it's actually supposed to get cooler next week, right?
Well, I don't know how it was in Rainbow City, but in Sardis City, it felt really good tonight. It felt
Man,
really good out there.
I asked some of the refs, I said, is this the latest you guys have ever had to call heat timeouts in a season? And they said, yeah, usually they do heat timeouts in the first 3 weeks of the season. They have never called heat timeouts in October.
Well, it's supposed to start feeling good starting like, I don't know, tomorrow, Monday or so. So I'm going to be confident saying that
I'm
true.
going to believe it when I see it. I mean, I'm sorry. I think summer's just holding on, and I think officially fall has been outlawed in Alabama. We might need to check. But otherwise, majority of our teams got back into region action tonight, and there were some upsets. There were some great games, a few of them, and then there were some just all-out blowouts. And just go ahead and run down the list, Teddy.
Last night, Gadsden City went over to James Clemens, and the Titans lost 62-7. That is the largest margin of defeat in Titan program history. That was last night, and then tonight, big shocker. Etowah, number 4 in 5A, heads over to Pell City in non-region play, and they lose 45-6. That's 45-6 Pell City. Sardis host Alexandria in a huge 5A Region 6 battle. Took 2 overtimes for Alexandria to beat Sardis 16-10. I was at that one. A fantastic ball game. Southside, big winner over Douglas 42-7. Ramburn beats Westbrook 33-13. Ohatchee, big over West End 49-7. Pleasant Valley over Glencoe 47-7. Cleveland shuts out Gadsden 58-0. Faultville defeats Coosa 62-26. And Hokes Bluff a winner over Asheville 35-14.
And some of the schools outside of our area, Albertville with a big win over Hazel Green. They won by almost, I want to say 30 some odd points. Piedmont all over Sachs. Boaz big over Crossville. And then North Sand Mountain huge over Cedar Bluff. Cedar Bluff was undefeated coming into that game, and they just ran roughshod over the Tigers. Collinsville, nice win over Section. And then Fife just fifed again, 55-0 over Sandrock. So, there are constants in life, right? Death, taxes, and Fife football being number 1 in Class 2A and being undefeated.
It's just
those are your 3 things that you can count on, folks.
It does not matter who's carrying the football.
Nope.
It just seems to matter who's obviously the head coach. And Paul Benefield, I would say he knows what he's doing over in Fife.
He absolutely does. There is no doubt about it.
All right, so before we get into the Southside and Etowah comment, Brad Scott says, how about them Braves? They didn't blow it. You were right, Brad.
Yeah.
We still got a few more games left, and I'm leaving it at that. I'm just going to enjoy game 2. Anyways, moving on. Jeremy Scott says, go Southside Panthers. It was a happy homecoming. Big win for Southside. I mean, obviously, it was expected for them to beat Douglas the way they did. But now, obviously, it's big because it's a region win for the Panthers.
Yeah.
And things, get really big for them. They have to go to Alexandria next week. Alexandria is set up to, in 2 weeks, to play Etowah for the region championship.
Yeah.
So could Southside get Alexandria overlooking the Panthers? I mean, that possibly, but that is a big game for Southside.
No,
for sure.
I don't think that's possible. I mean, last year Alexandria and Southside went toe-to-toe last year, if I'm not mistaken. Southside, they had to win out to go to the playoffs, and one of those teams they had to knock off was Alexandria. Alexandria is going to be looking for revenge. They are not overlooking Southside by any stretch of the imagination. So Southside's going to have to bring it next week if they want to stay in that playoff hunt. Like I said, there's a lot of teams now. They're just kind of sitting back and they thought that they were sitting pretty in the playoff picture, and they kind of got their feelings hurt a little bit. North Sand Mountain all over Cedar Bluff. I mean, that right there. I mean, Cedar Bluff comes in undefeated, and they were looking pretty good. And all of a sudden, North Sand Mountain just lays the wood to them. Others, Sardis.
Yeah.
You and I both talked about that on the way to this game, and I said I would not be surprised, and we both said which Sardis team is going to show up.
Kind of, my thought process was I think I picked Alexandria 21-20 at my picks. I could see it going three ways. Alexandria winning close or winning big because they have big play potential, and they showed some of that tonight.
Yep.
Or Sardis winning close. I didn't think Sardis could win it in a blowout.
Yeah.
Sardis defense, that's a tough loss for the Lions, but they have a lot to be proud of and a lot to, kind of build off of. Defensively, it looked like Alexandria's going to put the game away pretty quick in the second half. They got like a 45-yard gain to the Sardis 6, and then, they held them to a turnover and downs twice inside the 5 in the second half. 2 turnovers. One of them was at the 1. I mean, they just weren't able to really capitalize offensively. But
and now you got the Lions with their backs against the wall. They've got to win out if they're going to have a chance to even get into the playoffs.
I think they're fine for the playoffs, but obviously winning next week against Boaz is huge. If they beat Boaz, I think they're going to be okay. But that Boaz game is a lot bigger now.
Yeah, Boaz easily over Crossville. They kind of were a little bit nip and tuck there to start the game, but then Boaz really turned it on there in the second half and easily over Crossville. So that's going to set up a really big matchup next week when Sardis goes to Boaz.
I remember at halftime of the Alexandria Sardis game, I heard the halftime scores of Etowah, Pell City, and then Crossville, Boaz, and I was just like, wow, because Boaz was only up 12-8 at half. They ended up running away with it, and then obviously Etowah was not able to kind of get things under control there. And Daniel says someone forgot to tell Etowah tonight it was Friday night because we never showed up. So tough loss, but the good thing for the Blue Devils, that loss really, you want to win them all, obviously, but at the end of the day, that game don't matter.
In terms of a region, it has no impact. So, I mean, it is a non-region loss. Who knows? Maybe it gave Etowah some time to rest some guys and get them healed up for the final stretch. I don't know just yet. So, I was really shocked when you text me and said it was 21-0 Pell City, and I was like, "You're kidding me, right?"
That was early in the second quarter, if I'm not mistaken, too. So
and so right then and there, I knew somebody was in trouble, and hats off to Pell City, they came ready to play. Etowah, I don't know exactly what was going on there. Did they just not show up, or did they just kind of rest some guys? Because like I said, in terms of the playoffs, this has little to no meaning. So, we'll see what happens next week. We'll see if they come out and, if they decide to really just knuckle down. I would imagine, this matchup at Douglas, it should be a win for the Blue Devils. But there again, this is also another game where does Etowah maybe rest some more players.
Right. And looking at the stats from the Pell City Etowah game, and as we said earlier, Pell City big winner over Etowah 45-6. Pell City outgained Etowah 377 yards to 194. 267 of 377 Pell City yards came on the ground. Just looked like they were kind of able to do what they wanted to. They were Pell City was 12 of 18 on third downs. So and Etowah was just 2 of 15 on third down. So looked like they were just kind of able to do what they want from the jump. And like I said, if you're going to lose one, I mean, the non-regional was not the worst one to lose.
Yeah, absolutely. There were a number of kind of surprises out there, and some, to be quite honest, not so surprised. Vestavia beat Hewitt Trussville tonight in 7A 19-14. I kind of figured that was going to be a pretty tough game there. Another one that kind of caught my eye, obviously, is Albertville over Hazel Green. They just really just turned it on against Hazel Green, and I thought that Hazel Green played maybe a tougher schedule than Albertville did. And I kept going back and forth as to whether to go with Albertville or go with Hazel Green. And I just said, okay, I'm just going to stick with my gut. My gut says go with a team that's played a tougher schedule. And I stuck with Hazel Green. Obviously was wrong. Another team that has kind of crept up and is making noise again is Arab. Big win over East Limestone. That puts them in kind of the catbird seat, if you will, in terms of the playoffs. I know they've got Madison County coming up, and then they also got Madison Academy. And Madison Academy struggled tonight. They had to win it in the last few minutes of the ball game to beat Gunnersville. And Gunnersville is a really good football team. Let me tell you, that quarterback at Gunnersville, he's probably one of the better quarterbacks I've seen in the Northeast Alabama area. He's right up there with Troop and some of those other guys.
I see. Daniel says he's a big Etowah fan. We couldn't stop the run to save our lives, and they'd shut down our run. And he said Brady was just a little off tonight. It happens. Like we said, if you're going to do it.
If you're going to have a bad night, have it now. Don't have it in the playoffs.
The big thing for Etowah, obviously they should win pretty big next week against Douglas, but they need to do it. They need to have a good game. They don't need to have a sloppy game.
Yeah.
It's because Alexandria is looming large the following week, and that one's going to be for the region championship.
Mm-hmm.
Unless Southside has something to say about that. So
right.
We'll see.
Yeah. Crazier things have happened. Like I said, last year we sat here after they lost to Helena, and we pretty much wrote Southside off, and they ended up running the table and getting to the second round of the playoffs. So I'm not going to do that again.
Mm-hmm.
Fool me once, shame on me. Fool me twice, and I'm the dummy, and I'm not going to be the dummy this go around. So let's see what happens when Southside goes to Alexandria. Like I said, Southside's going to have to bring it, because Alexandria is going to be ready for them because they want to avenge that loss from last year.
Patrick said, I got to see Patrick tonight. Patrick, good to see you. I always enjoy his comments. But
absolutely.
He added, Etowah lost to a very good team tonight. Look at the region Pell Cities, and that's a good point too.
Very good point. That's a tough region. It really is.
Westbrook was in a big one tonight. Kind of the same thing with Sardis. I don't know if I actually mentioned that or not. Sardis, if they could have won that one, they would have had the leg up on that number 2 seed in the home playoff spot. Now, like we said earlier, the Lions have to regroup for a big Boaz game next week. Westbrook was in the same position against Ramburn in 2A Region 6. They were trailing Ramburn 14-7 at the half, and Ramburn kind of runs away with that one and wins 33-13.
Yeah.
Westbrook's going to be fine. They should be, in my opinion, the front runners at least finish third. I will be stunned if they don't make the playoffs.
Yeah, they should definitely make the playoffs.
I can't see them not making it, but that's 2 straight losses that they've suffered. That's been pretty tough. And they were off last week, and then the week before that, a 35-point loss at Ohatchee.
Yeah.
And that's 2 really good football teams. So
very good. And they both do the same thing. They run right at you.
Mm-hmm.
And they make no bones about it. Now, they did a little bit of misdirection here and there, but they came right at Westbrook and said, okay, we're going to throw 4 or 5 different running backs at you, but you got to stop them. And they're obviously there in the second half. They couldn't stop them. I was there for the first half, and when I think Ramber goes up 8-0, then they end up Westbrook answers. They cut it to 8-7, and then they scored to go up 14-7 at the half. And I thought, wow, they're definitely in this ball game.
Mm-hmm.
And talking with Drew before the game, and we were just talking about this team, about Ramburn, and he said that they're just a really sound football team. No turnovers in this game at all. So both played, in terms of turnovers, pretty clean ball. Now, there were flags aplenty, tonight, but just the Achilles heel right now for Westbrook is they've got to work on it. Gap integrity up front. They've got to be able to stop the run up front. Now, they were able to do that in the first half. They hemmed up a couple of their running backs pretty well in the first half. But then what they would do is they would run to the inside, and then they'd run a little misdirection and get outside, and Westbrook just couldn't run them down.
Right. Patrick says he don't know if he'll get to watch the whole show tonight. He'll be heading back to the warehouse fire soon. He says, everyone, please pray for everyone still fighting this fire in Etowah. Thank you guys for what y'all do for us high school football junkies.
Yeah,
that's what we're here for, and we'll definitely keep y'all in our prayers, and we
Yeah.
appreciate all you guys have done for that.
Absolutely.
It's been a tough week for
That has
everyone.
been a whale of a fire. I mean, I think we're now going into day 5 of that warehouse fire.
Mm-hmm.
And they just today, if I'm not mistaken, were able to get a front end loader to kind of push through, so that way some of the firefighters could get inside there. And be sure just to read about it too, folks, is go to the GadsdenTimes.com. We've got a story. Dustin Fox has been covering this story from the jump, and he's done a whale of a job. Let me tell you, he's done a great job covering this fire. And two, he touched on it in today's story that'll be in tomorrow's paper about the outpouring of the community to get supplies and things like that to the first responders and the firefighters there. And so big kudos to this community. Let me tell you, when things get tough, the communities, Gadsden may not like Etowah and Southside may not like Gadsden, but when there's something like this, it doesn't matter. Everybody is a community member, and they all come together and they help out one another, and so that's huge.
Well, it's been special seeing fire departments from all over coming over to help, and it's a good thing to see, and especially in such a tough time. So prayers for everyone, still fighting that fire.
Absolutely.
Adam says Central Clay lost, so number 3 and number 4 lost in 5A. I didn't realize that.
That was a big loss. Central Clay, that one came out of, just wow.
Who was it? I haven't even seen that yet.
I forget who they lost to right off the top of my head, but it was kind of a shocker to me. Let me see if I can find that score. Well,
now that one, I had no idea that they even lost tonight. That's tough.
Yeah, that was a tough loss for Central. Let's see, Hokes Bluff. They get back on the winning track,
especially
and
that was
knock off
big.
Asheville 35-14.
Daniel says Mortimer Jordan.
That's right, Mortimer Jordan. They lost to him.
34-28.
34-28 final. Yeah.
And I'm telling you, that's the region Etowah, Southside, and Sardis crosses with. That is tough.
That's a tough cross. So
that's pretty brutal.
Mm-hmm.
So because I want to say, if I was looking at it correctly the other day, if the playoffs had ended before this week's, before tonight, Etowah would have been playing. Oh man, I can't remember who it was off my head, but
was
I know
it Mortimer Jordan.
It wasn't Mortimer Jordan. They'd been 3, but it's tough. I want whoever Sylacauga. Everything it was Sylacauga.
That's right. It was Sylacauga.
And I want to say their only loss in the region was to Mortimer Jordan. So that's a heck of a region that they're going to have to cross with. So we're still a ways away from the playoffs. We're still trying to figure out who's going to make it in.
Yeah.
But that's going to be tough in Region 6, where 3 of our county teams represented in.
Yeah.
It was just a tough night for several teams in our coverage area. Obviously, last night, Gadsden City lost 62-7 to James Clemens.
6 turnovers. You cannot overcome 6 turnovers and win a football game. And so, back to the drawing board for the Titans. They go to Florence next week. They've got Huntsville at home on the 18th. And then they close out the region schedule against Grissom on October 25th, which will be their homecoming. So, they got to put the pedal to the metal. This loss to Clemens may very well have knocked them out of the playoffs, but still there's 3 weeks of region play left to go. Crazy things could happen. So, but if Gadsden City's got any chance of wanting to make the playoffs, they got to win out.
Yeah, it's going to be tough to do for Gadsden City, just to be honest. But, they came close to doing it last year,
Yeah.
Only difference is they
came down to the Huntsville game last year, whether they were going to go to the playoffs or not. So.
The unfortunate thing for Gadsden City is, like last year, if they are able to make a push, it's definitely going to be in the hands of some other game. You don't ever want that. But
No.
you at least want a chance. If Gadsden City if they want one, they're going to have to start winning ball games. It's just that simple.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like you kind of touched on, Hokes Bluff, Asheville. That was a big win for Hokes Bluff.
I want to say Darian Meads rushed for, I think, 4 touchdowns tonight.
3 touchdowns. He had 22 carries for 212 yards. Ashton Gulledge was 8 of 12 for 195 yards passing, 2 touchdowns, and I want to say he also had a pretty good game rushing. He had 121 yards on the ground on 11 carries, an average of 11 yards per carry.
Yeah.
So they were only up 21-14 at the half, and they scored 2 touchdowns in the third to put the thing away. Big win in region play. I want to say next week they have Cleveland County, and that's a very winnable region. They
should win that game. But then again, when you go to Heflin, you may be a touchdown before you even get off the bus.
You look at Hokes Bluff's remaining region schedule. They have Cleveland County next week, then followed by Cherokee County, huge rivalry game for the Eagles.
Yes.
And then they end region play against Jacksonville. That's pretty tough. And they're kind of in a position now to where they need to win. I would say they need to win all of them.
They really do.
But at least, at the most, like I said, they could afford just one. That center game or Cherokee County game is going to be a huge.
That's always a dogfight.
Always and that's the thing with Hokes Bluff, and I'm sure with the position they're in, and obviously with Coach Rob, they're not going to be overlooking nobody, but they can't catch themselves doing that against Cleveland County.
They absolutely cannot.
And Coach Rob and them will not let the kids do that. But a huge win for Hokes Bluff, and then West End, Ohatchee, just West End, big win last week for the Patriots, but not able to do much with Ohatchee. I mean, Ohatchee's just a
they're a machine. They are a rushing machine, from what I hear.
So 49-7, Ohatchee over West End tonight. Glencoe, I mean, scored for 2 straight weeks, and there for a while it was looking like they might not score at all. But it's 2 straight weeks of scoring.
Yeah.
You gotta have some positives going. You can tell, like our editor Greg Bailey said last week against Hokes Bluff, you could tell the kids are really fighting. They're trying. The coaches are coaching them up. It's going to take time over there, and the effort's there. It's just going to take some time. And then Gadsden struggled again tonight, 58-0 loss against Cleveland.
Wow.
Gadsden has not scored since their opening against Sandrock. I want to say that was 19-6.
Yeah.
And I know heading into tonight they were outscored like 184-0. So it's just been a rough go at it for Gadsden.
That is rough.
And then Coosa, I mean they're scoring some points. They're kind of in the same boat as West End. If you think about it, I haven't really thought about that till just now, but Coosa's scoring, but they're just giving up a ton of points.
They really are.
It's just been tough for them.
And Falkville that's a good football team. They came in undefeated and rightfully so. That pretty well, I think, for Falkville, that's pretty well going to sew up the number 1 seed for them in that region. So, Coosa, they just got to keep clawing and scratching. And it really, to be quite honest, it doesn't get any easier for them on down the road. So just keep at it, boys. Don't quit. And obviously you've shown that you don't. Gadsden, same thing. Gadsden and Glencoe. Just got to keep fighting. Coaches always say, especially when you get to this point and you still haven't won a football game, don't worry about the scoreboard. Just win the down and build from there. Win the down. So, we'll see. But there's some big matchups next week. Gadsden City, they've got to win on the road. Etowah, they've got to bounce back. Westbrook, they got Gadsden. That could be an interesting ball game. But Westbrook's got to bounce back. Glencoe goes to Piedmont. That's a tough place to play, but I think the 2 biggies are right below that. Sardis at Boaz and Southside at Alexandria. That will really give us an idea of how this region's going to shake out. And I think it'll all kind of come into that playoff picture is really going to come into focus next week, at least for that area. West End goes to Rambert. Rambert's a big win over Westbrook. Coosa goes to Galesville. That's a winnable ball game. very winnable for them. Hokes Bluff goes to Heflin. They should be able to beat Heflin. And then Lee Huntsville at Albertville. Lee Huntsville is just struggling mightily. So, Albertville could pick up their third win in a row, and that's momentum.
It's
That's
good to pick up this time of
huge
the year.
momentum for Cliff Mitchell and his Aggies, and they're playing pretty good football right now. So if they can keep that momentum train running, they could make some noise here in the next few weeks. Asheville goes to Cherokee County. That should be a winnable game for Center. Fife at Cedar Bluff. I really thought this was going to be the battle of the undefeateds, but then North Sand Mountain said, "Not so fast, my friend," and really laid the wood to Cedar Bluff tonight. So you're going to see Cedar Bluff. We're going to see what kind of football team they are and how they respond after getting beaten by a pretty good North Sand Mountain team, and they play Fife next week. Collinsville's got Asbury. That should be a good win for Collinsville. I wouldn't be surprised if Ernie decides to put some of his key players kind of on the shelf a little bit. Let the younger kids play, and that would be a good thing. Section Sandrock's got to bounce back. They've had two big losses. The Thursday game to Spring Garden, and then tonight to Fife. So they really need something to bounce back.
Adam says Etowah had a tough week this week at practice because of the smoke from the fire, and he also added that they didn't have all their weapons tonight, and had a few key players for Etowah was not 100%. I know they're battling some injuries. Getting healthy right now is obviously going to be key.
Yeah.
Daniel chimes in as he thinks they're going to be fine in the long run. We're down to 4 teams in Etowah County without a win. The last 2 weeks, we've kind of checked one off with Westbrook winning last week against Raglan, and then Southside tonight, big winner over Douglas. So I'm going to ask you a question.
Go.
Out of our 4 winless teams, Gadsden City, Coosa, Gadsden, and Glencoe, who has the best shot of getting in the win column next week?
I really think Coosa does. I think that Galesville game is a very winnable game, but what they've got to do is they've got to be able to start fast.
Mm-hmm.
So that means first series they got to score. You got to get some points off that first series. If they can get some points off that first series, they've got a shot to win that game.
Yeah, especially with the guys they got. You look at, I don't care what classification you're in. Most quarterbacks, or all quarterbacks, are going to be happy you've been able to throw it to Evan Delp.
Yeah.
We say all the time it's a broken record, but it's true. He's just,
that dude he's good. He's got hands. He just, wow. He's an athlete. Let me tell you, he is a really solid football player. And if he goes on and plays at the next level, I think you've kind of got a diamond in the rough right there. And I think whoever gets him, man, they polish up that diamond. Whew, he's gonna be a beast.
No doubt about it. And then you look at Gadsden City. Obviously they're not playing all that great right now, but this time last year they were sitting with the same 0-6 record, and they beat Florence at home last year, started a 3-game winning streak.
Yeah, so. I'll say it here. It's going to be tough to win on the road at Florence. That's a long daggum drive. That's 200 some odd miles for them. So that's a long drive to Florence. So that right there kind of puts them behind the 8 ball, if you will. But I think if you look the next week against Huntsville and against Grissom, those are 2 winnable ball games. Not just because of who they're playing, but the simple fact that they're playing at home.
They've had a lot of road games this year.
They really have.
They opened the season with Etowah, and then the next 4 games, you're traveling. And then with Gadsden City scheduled, you're not traveling close by.
No.
Obviously the first one that Oxford, a non-region play, but there's not a region game that's close for Gadsden City.
That's one thing that I think I touched on last year when the regions were drawn out. You look at Gadsden City and you look at Coosa. Those are the 2 schools within their regions where they really had to put on some road miles. And Gadsden City, they got to go to Florence. So like I said, that's a 200 some odd mile trip, round trip, I think it is. But that's tough. It's just tough on kids to make that kind of a road trip. And I don't know what you can do to kind of overcome that or what. I don't think there's really any one good fix it on
Mm-hmm.
that.
Well, I'm just glad we're able to do the show tonight. I want to say this time last week, I'll say
Yeah.
my watch says 11:26.
I think you were still what in the third quarter?
I was still over at Jim Glover. Let's see, my game didn't end until 12:11. I want to say Michael was over at Coosa. His didn't end until 12:12. So I'm really glad we got to the show tonight
Yeah,
and got
absolutely.
to join all you. We appreciate you joining us as always.
Yep.
And as long as we don't have some kind of lightning or something next week, we will definitely be back next Friday, right?
So is fall coming?
I'm going to say it's coming. That might be a big upset if it actually shows
Man,
up,
let me
right?
tell you. Okay, I'm about to say I think the odds makers in Vegas are they're kind of edging toward the fall not actually getting to Alabama, but if you want to go against the spread, that's fine. Okay. Again, folks, go to the GadsdenTimes.com. We'll have stories, photo galleries, videos, the whole shebang. So we'll have scores and everything. And then please pick up a copy of Sunday's paper. We'll have all the game stories, how they fared, the game, all the games that have been completed from tonight, Thursday night, and there may be a few Saturday night games as well. They'll be in the paper as well, so be sure to pick up a copy of Sunday's paper. And folks, again, the playoff picture is really starting to take shape and really come into focus. So these next 3 weeks are huge for everybody. I mean, even those that have not won a game, they're not sitting on the outside looking in just yet, but they're pretty daggum close.
Mm-hmm.
So they've got to make a move this upcoming week. So again, thanks again for having us and letting us talk to you tonight. Thanks to everybody who chimes in and talks with us, and we look forward to talking to you again. Our time is up. We thank you for yours.